Marin County Code prohibiting the sale or offer for sale of flavored tobacco products. Dr. Willis.
Good morning, supervisors, President Connolly. Good morning, community. Apparently today is a good day to vote for change and to vote to reverse some of the recent trends that are harming our community. As you know, Health and Human Services is recommending that the board adopt an ordinance in unincorporated Marin County that would prohibit the sale of flavored tobacco products, including vaping products. Last week, we had a presentation from myself and Valerie Bogie, County Council, with robust public comment. I'm not going to repeat that presentation, but I'm just going to briefly summarize 4 key points. The first is that tobacco is the leading cause of preventable death, accounting for about 500,000 deaths in the United States annually. The cost to Marin County residents is about $140 million per year, measured in preventable healthcare costs and loss of productivity in the workforce. Second, after decades of progress, we are actually losing ground against tobacco for the first time. The historical gains against tobacco and its harms have been mainly due to progressive policy that's been taken over the last few decades. It's time for new policy to close some of the gaps that we're seeing. Number 3, flavoring specifically is driving increased use of tobacco products. 4 out of 5 people who currently smoke started with a tobacco-flavored product, and about 80% of African Americans who smoke use flavored products. So the choice is whether to take action now or to wait and see. I think we have enough evidence, and I hope that what you've heard in the presentation last week and any comments that may come up today, and I'm happy to address any other questions that may arise, I hope you're convinced that the cost of waiting would be measured in lives that could have been spared. That concludes my comments, and we'll open up to public comment.
Thank you. Questions for Dr. Willis at this time before we move to public comment? Okay. Come on up, anyone who would like to speak on this item. And if you can limit your comments to about 3 minutes, that'd be great. And let us know who you are.
My name is Amelia Brown, and I'm a senior at Branson High School. I just wanted to say thank you so much for the opportunity to speak, and also for last week's vote to push this meeting forward, to give me this opportunity. I think that for me, the elimination of flavored tobacco products is an issue close to my heart because of how many of my friends it affects. A lot of my friends aren't just addicted to nicotine, or they aren't just addicted to these e-cigarettes or Juuls, but they're addicted to the flavor, they're addicted to the mint or the creme brulee or vanilla. And that's why I believe that the sale of all tobacco products must be eliminated, not just e-cigarettes or not just something in particular. And I won't spend a lot of time sorting through all of the research because I believe that it speaks for itself, but one thing that I can bring to the table are real stories and real things that I've experienced and how they impact my friends. As an athlete, cardiovascular health and everything surrounding that is emphasized over and over again for me and my teammates. And driving home from practices, I can be in the car with my friends who are, hitting their Juuls, and there's, mint. It's mint generally, I think, is the most popular one. But these are real stories, and these are real moments of my friends being so addicted. I have friends that have to carry their Juul around with them everywhere just because they can't go without it. And to me, that just kind of breaks my heart because I don't think that any of my friends, although they may understand on an intellectual level, the marketing strategy and the flavor is something that is beyond their control, and so then they do become addicted. And it's also permeated school culture. I mean, it's cool for freshmen to be Juuling in the bathrooms and see if they'll get caught by a teacher. And I believe that that is at the very heart of this issue, is how we together can change the culture moving forward. and save many of the younger generation from becoming addicted. So I just want to finish by saying thank you for considering this issue because it means so much to me.
Hi, my name is Ashley and I'm 13 years old. I am in 8th grade at Whitehill Middle School. Vaping should be banned in Marin County because kids are especially vulnerable to becoming addicted to nicotine. The tobacco industry knows this, so they target kids so that they can make more money. The vaping companies are using flavors that kids like, including unicorn tears, cherry, and bubblegum. There are currently more than 15,500 different flavors. They pull kids in early so that they become addicted when their brains are still developing. People die from using tobacco products. Over 480,000 per year, and there are 1,300 deaths per day. Will you help us stop kids from getting addicted? Can you save our next generation? Please ban flavored vaping products.
Hi, my name is Talia, and I'm from Children for Change. I'm a 6th grader at Whitehill Middle School, and I'm going to be talking to you today about why flavored tobacco products are harmful to teenagers. Flavored tobacco products like vapes and vape pods, which are little flavor cartridges you insert into vapes, are dangerous to teenagers to try and use regularly. Why have kids been wanting to try this? The answer lies in the flavors of the vapes, which entice teenagers to try them. Once people try tobacco products, the nicotine in them causes an addiction. This can lead to many obstacles throughout your lifetime. One of the biggest problems with flavored tobacco products are that they can reel people in with fun flavors like cotton candy, strawberry, and mango. Once someone tries it, an addiction may form. Once you have an addiction, it can cause money problems because you constantly have an urge to use them. The mainstream brand called Juul sells 4 vape pods for $15.99, which is very expensive. Each pod contains about the same amount of nicotine as a box of cigarettes. Another effect of vaping is it makes the brain very unfocused. This is bad because teenagers who vape are most likely in school and they need to use their brains almost all the time. Some chemicals in vapes can irritate the airways in your lungs. Vapes run on batteries and heat up nicotine flavorings and other chemicals. They turn them into a vapor you can breathe in. Many chemicals that cause cancer are in this vapor. That includes formaldehyde, heavy metals, and particles that can get stuck in the deepest parts of your lungs. Those are some reasons why flavors for vaping are bad. Not everyone can have an addiction. Some people are more prone to an addiction than others through genetics. My older brother, who goes to Sir Francis Drake High School, who has never vaped, has described to me the numerous harmful effects of vaping. He has witnessed the hold that vapes and their pods have on their users, from pulling their money to wasting their childhood, and to its mental and physical effects. This is a growing epidemic and it has to be stopped, or else this will continue to get worse and impact more teens' lives.
Hello, I am Leona Franco and I'm a 7th grade student at Whitehill Middle School. I am part of Children for Change, a community service organization in Marin. Today I will be talking about how vaping has made a huge impact on kids by producing new flavors that are causing kids to want to try vaping. Vaping industries are unaware of the risks that they are putting on children. By providing new flavors. However, they've never brought to attention about how harmful they are or have little to no interest in doing anything about this problem that we are facing. 80% of cigarette addicts have started with flavored cigarettes. 7 in 10 children are exposed to vaping because of vaping ads and vaping industries' marketing strategies. Vaping industries are targeting children and trying to get them addicted early just so that they can get more money as an outcome. Vaping is not only affecting individuals' health, but vaping also has huge impacts on teens and adults' brains and your lateral frontal pole, which is the part of your brain that makes decisions. Vaping can lead to other drugs or alcohol addictions such as cigarette smoking, heroin, and more. Teens who start smoking with vapor or e-cigarettes have 7 times more greater odds of smoking tobacco cigarettes than non-smokers. Vaping can lead to poor decisions such as going homeless, dropping out of school, child abuse, going broke, and more. Flavored vaping needs to stop now because it has no positive outcome, and we need to save our next generation from this sad tragedy. Together, we can make a difference by banning flavored vaping.
Hello, my name is Leila Winton. I'm 12 and I'm in 7th grade at Davidson Middle School. I'm also a part of Children for Change at my school. The marketing strategies used by tobacco companies to lead kids away from straight tobacco have a lasting effect. They're not good because it still makes them addicted. There's almost no difference between flavored or not because it does the exact same thing, addict people. I've seen my peers selling their vape pens in class, and it is so sad to see how desperate they are to get one. They'll throw away their money, their education, and so much more just to fulfill their longing. It's not just the flavors that are bad, it's how they sell it. Having been a ballerina for 9 years, I know what it's like to breathe in hairspray, and that's what vaping is, addictive, flavored hairspray. The company Juul has 63% of the market, and I don't want this to affect my little brother and his friends. So I'm going to do everything I can to prevent that. I think we all should. So I think the most effective way to do that is to advertise how bad vaping is, and if possible, ban vaping altogether. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Rebecca Williams. I work at VIP Vape Shop in San Rafael. I'm the e-cig department lead. And vaping is a healthier alternative to cigarettes. Cigarettes have more carcinogens, more chemicals. Vaping is made up of about 3 if you're going with a good juice. Overall, I think what's really important to me is that kids aren't coming into the stores of Marin County and getting these vapes. We have to be 21 and up to get them from us. I don't think that a ban on vape shops selling vape products will be very helpful because it's safe for people to come up to us, discuss what nicotine levels they should be using, what kind of vape is right for them, how to taper off of it, and we can be a helpful hand in them quitting smoking cigarettes. A lot of other countries have been on board with vaping because they have weighed out studies. It is a harm reduction. It's not the perfect solution, but it is so much healthier than cigarettes. I've helped a lot of people quit smoking that feel, breathe, and live healthier since they have. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Eddie Walsh. I started manufacturing e-liquids after flavored vape products helped me quit smoking and helped my mom quit smoking. I smoked for 27 years, and I am here today to oppose a policy that would likely drive vapor retailers out of business, especially considering it would also impact small manufacturers like myself. I've been in business for 5 years, and during that time have helped thousands of people switch from a deadly habit, namely smoking, to a much safer alternative. People switch, the very alternative that you proposed ordinance is trying to ban out of the misplaced fear that youth will gravitate towards these products and turn into lifelong smokers. None of the data out there supports that theory, and in fact shows quite opposite. Yet this ordinance would deny adult smokers of flavored vapor products easy access within the country. The state of California already prohibits the sale of these products to anyone at the age of under 21. We and other small businesses take great care in keeping these products out of the hands of minors. If there are problems enforcing this existing law, let's work on ways to make it more effective, because outright banning an entire product category while protecting the sale of cigarettes makes no sense. I'm here today to ask you to not make any decisions on this subject, but to meet with the small businesses and your constituents so that you might be able to make decisions based on actual data and facts before causing unintended consequences for consumers and negatively impacting the livelihood of the retailers in the county. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Oshala Diana Marcus. I am a third-generation, longtime Marin County resident. I have a health and wellness practice in Marin County. I teach fitness, health, dance fitness. I have a private practice in Mill Valley, and I also work in the community of Marin City, where I was born and raised. I work with Martin Luther King Academy and other schools, the seniors, and all the stressed out parents in between. So I'm here to really urge you to pass this ordinance. I see the effects firsthand, all those young people that testified and that gave witness to what kids are getting. The idea that there are flavored, yummy cotton candy, tobacco, addictive substances available for kids specifically to consume is just beyond my comprehension. It really harms, it does harm. I see the harm that it does, and not only to young people, but also to people who are depressed. The whole idea of vaping often feels like you're not even smoking, but you're still getting the damage. The harm reduction coming from vaping versus cigarettes may be some harm, it may be less, but what we're advocating in the health and wellness community is breathing air and actually having a healthy diet and healthy practices. So we don't want easy access for people to come and buy flavored tobacco products. And then specifically the menthol vaping is very destructive, I see, to the parents. So please, I urge you to vote no on the ordinance. Thank you. Pass the ordinance.
Hi, my name's Monique. I actually work at the VIP vape store as well, and I completely understand where everyone is coming from both sides. And I just wanted to say that, as far as I know, the law is you have to be 21 and over to smoke or do anything related to that. And these places that are selling these e-juices, as far as I know, you have to be at least 18 or 21 to enter the premises. So I feel like the real issue is where these kids are getting them from, not so much them actually using them. It's where they're getting them from, what establishments are not going towards the law and actually like carding people. And I just feel like if anything, we should maybe crack down on these establishments that these kids are getting them from. And if not, the establishments and the people that are buying them for these kids and giving them to them. And thank you.
Hi, I'm Sebastian Meyer. I'm 16 and I'm here to advocate for my age peers. Imagine going to class at any high school in Marin and everywhere around you is nicotine addiction. Kids vaping through their sleeves in class, kids leaving class to vape, little clouds of smoke puffing up from the crowd of people during passing periods, not to mention the jewel lounge that the bathrooms have turned into. When you were in high school, was it a daily occurrence to see underclassmen being escorted to the office by campus security, shaking and looking on the verge of tears because they just got caught juuling in the bathroom for the first time? Juul advertises itself as a safe smoking alternative for adults, but it's apparent to any teenager living in Marin that their market of addicts is getting larger and younger. Teens.drugabuse.gov says that 30.9% of 10th graders report ever trying a vaporizer product of any kind. From my own experience, that number is at least 3 times higher locally. When I started high school 2.5 years ago, people who juuled often were a little socially ostracized and had already been smoking cigarettes beforehand. By the time I got halfway through high school in sophomore year, it was more common to find people who did vape than people who did not. More than any factor, aside from the fact that previous legislation restricting nicotine use assumes that consuming nicotine is by nature smelly, smoky, and visibly obvious, I would say the root cause of this is availability. It is not hard to go to a smoke shop in the city that does not ID, or to have your older friends, sometimes even parents, buy pods for you. I guarantee that if you ban the sale of flavored nicotine products, the number of new underage users will drop drastically for 2 reasons. 1, nicotine products of appealing flavors will not be available and will thus attract less new users. And 2, with some legislation in place preventing the flow of these products into the youth's hands, there will be a general shift in attitude towards Juul and similar nicotine products, shedding an ominous and not quite as elegant light on the new palm-sized ammunition of the nicotine industry. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jia Shilla. I'm a senior at Terra Linda High School, as well as an intern for the Marin County Health and Human Services Department. Today, I would like to provide a youth perspective on this issue, and from what I've seen, I can confidently say that I am overwhelmed and worried by the heavy use of vaping devices among high school students across the county. The first time I'd ever heard of Juul was the fall of my sophomore year, when one of the upperclassmen brought one to a football game. In the following months, I began to notice a number of upperclassmen using Juuls, and eventually many of my close friends began to follow in suit. As this epidemic spread, users' addictions began to worsen. Suddenly, it became apparent that this newfound need for nicotine among my peers was no longer exclusive to weekends and after-school hours. My classmates started to Juul in bathrooms and even discreetly in class. I am not the only one who's concerned by this. A number of my friends and acquaintances have reported feeling concerned by their dependency on this drug. As a community, it is our responsibility to help and prevent kids in the future from this level of addiction. Moreover, it goes without saying that parents are concerned by this rising epidemic as well. As part of my internship, I've paneled and presented to many parents, and in doing so, have heard their numerous worries. While I understand that the majority of this evidence is anecdotal, I have been conducting research with Dr. Jeremiah Mach on the issue. As Dr. Mach showed you last week, we have been collecting nicotine-related waste in the parking lots of campuses here in Marin. Through this research, we have found 187 Juul pods and caps in the parking lot of a school here in Marin. To give you some perspective, one pod roughly equates to a whole pack of cigarettes. The sheer number of these students using this product is concerning, let alone the fact that the students are so addicted they feel the need to use, even at school. I know some are making the argument that instead of dealing with this issue from a policy standpoint, we should go about it through schools and parents. But I can guarantee you that efforts are already being made by these groups. I still remember learning about the effects of vaping on health in my 7th grade science class, and presentations such as these are still being made today by people such as myself and others in the health department. Additionally, there are many repercussions set in place for those who do decide to vape in school. Despite these efforts, there is still an overwhelming amount of students vaping. For this reason, we need to expand our method of prevention. While this ban won't completely eliminate the use of vaping devices among teens, it will still make a large impact on the lives of many. Thank you.
Hi there, my name's Amanda Gutzwiller. I'm with the American Lung Association. We're the leading organization working to prevent the harmful effects of tobacco use. Tobacco use is still the leading cause of death in the United States. Here in California, 40,000 lives are lost each year, and 9,200 kids become daily smokers. Tobacco initiation is often linked to flavored tobacco products. 4 out of 5 kids use flavored tobacco products, started to smoke with flavored tobacco products. In 2009, the FDA banned flavored cigarettes. However, this ban did not include other flavored products like little cigars, cigarillos, e-cigarettes, nor menthol. E-cigarettes contain nicotine that is addictive and harmful on adolescent brain development. E-cigarettes have associated health risks. The FDA has not found any e-cigarette to be safe and effective in helping smokers quit. Unfortunately, youth are using, as we've heard, e-cigarettes at an alarming rate. And using e-cigarettes can lead kids to start switching over to traditional combustible cigarettes. A recent CDC study found that a primary reason youth use e-cigarettes is the flavors. They're marketed to youth. Youth perceive the flavors as less harmful. Menthol is also linked to tobacco initiation. It cools the harshness of traditional cigarettes and can be more addictive. For decades, the tobacco industry has been marketing these products to vulnerable populations. Over 80% of African Americans who smoke use menthol cigarettes. 71% of LGBT youth use menthol cigarettes, and nearly half of youth smokers use menthol cigarettes. That's why the American Lung Association encourages municipalities, cities, counties, like Marin, to pass bans on these flavored tobacco products. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is Julia Rose. I'm 17. I'm a junior at Redwood High School, and I'm a TUPE, which stands for Tobacco Use Prevention Educator. And throughout my experience at high school, I've noticed many of my peers are using vapes such as Juul or Fix, and I just think that this is a big issue. Growing up as a daughter of an addict, I've realized that many times vaping or using cigarettes is often overlooked. I've always been taught that alcohol is bad. It messes with your brain. Drugs are bad. They mess with your brain. So why haven't I been taught this with nicotine? As I ask the people that I give presentations to if they know what exactly they are ingesting into their body, they say, well, it's vapor. Makes sense. However, many don't understand that this is actually aerosol. Also, as I walk around campus and I see the Juul pods on the ground in the parking lot, I notice that many people aren't smoking cigarettes anymore as students because they're disgusting, they smell bad. And this is why many people turn to vapes, because of the flavors that taste good. Many people will often say, does anybody want to trade for a tobacco, will anyone trade so that I can get a mint pod for my tobacco pod? Because tobacco is disgusting. For this reason, I think that we should ban flavored vapes. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Evelyn Bailey, and I'm a junior at Redwood High School. I am a member of Redwood Night Live, as Julia mentioned, and I am a tobacco use prevention educator, and I'm a part of the Youth Advisory Council. I'm here today not only for myself, but I'm here for my peers because I am scared of what's happening right before our eyes. I am here for that kid in the back of my math class who is addicted to juuling. I am here for the girls who sit in the bathrooms at lunch because they can't get enough of it. They don't know what's happening to them, and it's not their fault because they are being targeted. They don't know that one day they will just be another statistics about the juuling epidemic. Now we all know that this is a problem. Juuling has been labeled an epidemic, and for some reason the FDA didn't decide to regulate it until 2022. This is an epidemic, and we're going to wait another 4 years. So while the FDA decides what's truly important to them, I am here today to tell you how you can save our youth. After all, they are going to be the leaders of our country one day. Where I go to school, it's common knowledge that the most popular flavors of vape are mango and mint. No one likes tobacco. Why? Because they think it's gross and it tastes bad. So when I ask my peers, would you smoke cigarettes? They say, ew, no, that's gross. I don't want to get lung cancer. Now, we all know what's wrong with that logic, but I hope by banning those flavored products, my peers will find it gross again. The young people of our generation have taken what was supposed to be something to help you stop smoking cigarettes, and they have used it to start. Now we all know that cigarette companies have an ugly history with selling to the youth, and it absolutely confuses me that the leaders of our country can't see the same thing happening here. Companies like Juul think that they can take our money and our health, and the sad part is it has. 47% of Marin 11th graders have reported vaping. I hope that with this ban, I don't go to math class and hear the words "want to take another hit" again. I hope that with this ban, I can open up my Snapchat and not see kids selling mango pods to other kids. I hope that with this ban, I won't have to see the kids in my math class charging their Juul. And if no one else will do something, I hope that you will be the change that saves our youth. Thank you.
Morning. My name's Ted. Been a resident in Marin County since 1963. And what's going on with this flavor ban concerns me. The freedom that adults have to make choices. What are we going to ban next? Beer, wine, alcohol? There's been 9 million smokers that have abandoned cigarettes for vapor products. To sit here and argue we're going to protect the kids, we already have laws in place for that. You have to be 21 to be able to purchase tobacco products in the state of California. I think we should focus on enforcing those laws. People talk about cigarette butts or pods in parking lots. You know, there's beer cans in parking lots. We don't ban beer. I think there's a lot more going on here than meets the eye. The big pharmaceutical companies have donated over $220 million to promote banning flavors, using the argument that the kids are going to be the ones that are protected. They're going to be the ones that are going to be driven to smoking cigarettes, not vapor products. That would be a crisis. They want to continue to sell their drugs because they know that they make a lot more money selling drugs because people get a lot sicker off cigarettes than they do vapor products. I'd like you to consider that prohibition of adult and legal products has never worked in history. Sends business and revenue out of this county. And I know for a fact that kids are not getting these vapor products in retail stores. They're getting them from online because they can't go into retail stores and get them here in Marin. Denying access to the vapor products is just going to encourage not just our children to eventually smoke cigarettes, but also the adults that are trying to get off cigarettes and get into a healthy alternative. Will the county compensate businesses that will be driven out because of this policy? Why not just grandfather in existing retailers or otherwise add exemptions for adult-only establishments that exist now? Thank you for your consideration.
Hello, lovely council members. Back again with the awkward microphone. My name is Kristy Wilkerson. I'm here on behalf of the African American Tobacco Control Leadership Council. Unfortunately, Dr. Philip Gardner cannot join us today, but I want to be mindful and remind you all that this is as much of a social justice issue as it is a youth issue. This is as much of an adult issue, a community health issue, as it is a youth issue. This is not just about juuling and flavors. This is about, I remember being a kid in college, and I wasn't old enough to consume alcohol, but I had access to it, and so I was consuming alcohol. And this is completely unacceptable. This should not be happening. And I don't think that because we aren't banning these other products, that should be used as the standard for us not banning something that's become an epidemic. We have an entire generation of children. We have 5th, 6th, and 7th graders here arguing that they see kids juuling in the bathroom at 11 years old. That's outrageous to me. It's and the fact that the vaping community has come to many of these meetings. I was just in San Pablo last night. They come to many of these meetings and they say, oh, well, we're not the ones selling these products. We only allow 18 and 21 and over. Somehow kids are getting access to these products. That's an issue to me. That's one of the first issues. The second issue is that the vaping community is not taking it among themselves to help resolve this. As many of these meetings as I go to, as many city council meetings, I don't hear the vaping community offering solutions to help us resolve this issue. I just hear them saying, don't take money out of my products. It doesn't matter what product I'm pushing. It doesn't matter that I'm selling addictive and deadly products. It matters that you're taking money out of my pockets. With that being said, I urge you all to make the right decision today. This is going to be a momentous day. Obviously, it's election day, and there are going to be changes sweeping across this nation. I hope that you follow San Pablo's lead as they did last night and pass a similar ordinance restricting flavors and menthol, and I hope that you all do the same. Thank you for your time.
Good morning, supervisors. My name is Brian Telford, co-owner of Telford's Pipe and Cigar with my wife, Susan. In unincorporated Mill Valley. I would like to ask a question concerning the proposed flavored tobacco ordinance. What do I say to the paint contractor who enjoys menthol dry snuff to clear his head? The frequent flyer who enjoys snus on long flights? The 80-year-old who's been enjoying flavored pipe tobacco most of his life? Or the commuter who finds stress relief in flavored cigars? I guess the answer is you're not worthy. Your tobacco tax dollars at 62.78% are not important. You will just have to go online like the adolescents who purchase vaping products. I'd like to submit these postcards with names and addresses, your constituents, in support of Telford's Pipe and Cigar's ability to continue selling flavored tobacco. At this time, I'd like to respectfully request the Marin Board of Supervisors to delay your decision on flavored tobacco ordinance. Later this month, the FDA, Food and Drug Administration, will implement new forceful steps confronting e-cigarette and vaping. Please see today's internet posting by the FDA. It's ludicrous that Telford's Pipe and Cigar has to surrender business to the internet. There's a copy of the posting.
Hello, supervisors. My name is Lizzy Belton. I'm the Government Relations Director for the American Heart Association in the Bay Area. We are in strong support of the complete restriction of flavored tobacco sales in Marin County. Flavored tobacco products have long been the preferred strategy of big tobacco to hook new users. That predates vaping, although the vaping epidemic of today is shocking and terrifying. When you have kids standing up here, I don't know how you argue with them if they're seeing. What parent gives a kid who's a 5th or 7th grader their credit card information to buy tobacco products online? I don't think that's what's happening. If you talk to kids, they know where to go to get tobacco products from their local retailers. So flavored tobacco has predated vaping. Menthol cigarettes and other flavored tobacco, chewing tobacco, promoted by baseball stars. When I was in high school, which undoubtedly was a while ago, baseball players felt like chewing tobacco was part of the persona of a big leaguer. The ice cream truck that came around the corner had cigarettes that were gum that you would blow out the sugar on the end of it and it would look like a puff of smoke. They had Big League Chew. My brothers would ask my mom for Big League Chew chewing gum. Looked like chewing tobacco. This is not a new strategy. It's just they found a really, really good one in e-cigarettes. So I would urge you to not think of flavors as just vaping, but a part of an overall strategy of an industry that addicts and kills people. And frankly, a stack of cards showing your constituents who are highly addicted to tobacco and to nicotine only shows you the tip of the iceberg of what's coming when 47% of 11th graders in your county say they're vaping, because they're becoming addicted to nicotine, and they will stay addicted to nicotine when they start so young. I was lucky. The first time I tried a cigarette wasn't until college. The only reason I tried it was because it was a clove cigarette. Guess what? Clove cigarettes don't exist anymore because the FDA banned everything except for menthol cigarettes, which are left on the table as a bargaining chip. Let's take them off the table. Let's take away this incredibly effective strategy of flavored tobacco from the kids of Marin County. And as you well know, what Marin County passes, the cities of Marin will also follow suit. So set the precedent with the strongest possible policy that you can. I've worked in Oakland as well, where they have a 21 and over exemption. It is a nightmare, and I promise I will be fighting in the years coming to get rid of it, because now we have small corner stores, not tobacco retailers, not vape stores, small corner stores who are trying to convert and put a closet that's their 21 and over tobacco store. It's a nightmare for for enforcement. So keep the policy really strong. Protect the kids of Marin. Make sure that you get rid of this really strong policy. Okay, thank you very much.
Good morning. I'm Susan Telford, co-owner of Telford's Pipe and Cigar in unincorporated Marin, which does not sell Juul, vape, or e-cigs. As part of a third-generation mom-and-pop unique small business that would probably be forced to close in a year due to this ordinance, I would like to propose the following idea of developing a specialty tobacco license, similar to the one that is constructed in Oakland. In this ordinance, there was a carve-out for tobacco retailers who derived 60% or more of its gross revenues from the sale of tobacco products. This carve-out for adult specialty tobacco businesses has been a success, according to Beatrice Cardenas Duncan, the Alameda County Tobacco Control Coalition co-chair. Oakland's new flavor ban has been an effective solution to decrease youth access to flavored tobacco. The Center for Tobacco Policy and Organizing concludes that local tobacco retailer licensing ordinances with strong enforcement provisions are effective, and rates of illegal tobacco sales to minors have decreased significantly. As Brian has said, we have postcards, Facebook, emails, customer comments in support of keeping Telfords alive and selling adult tobacco products that people enjoy. In the interest of time allotted, I will just quote one customer, Mark Behrens, who says, "It absolutely boggles me that these people can't or won't understand that this will prohibit a huge percentage of pipe tobaccos doing not only great damage to your business, meaning Telfords, but denying your customers the product they want. Flavoring and casing have been part of many tobaccos for, well, centuries, right? In any event, they have nothing to do with appealing to underage customers." Mark goes on to say that he will be buying his pipe tobacco online. He goes on to say that it will actually save him money, but he prefers to buy pipe tobacco at a local adult specialty tobacconist where I have, and I quote, "I have the opportunity to talk and learn about tobaccos with tobacconists and other customers and support a local business." Mark continues that eliminating all flavoring from pipe tobacco, a practice that has existed for centuries and a product in which no underage teens have the slightest interest, will drastically affect adult pipe smokers, forcing them to buy tobaccos on the internet and therefore harm local businesses. Telford's is the only specialty tobacconist in unincorporated Marin. "This is ludicrous and just plain wrong," he writes. Mark concludes that, like so many other people who vote in elections and support Telfords, I wonder if these politicians and bureaucrats have even the slightest understanding of what a huge percentage of pipe tobaccos have some sort of flavoring, which only adults buy and which would become illegal. Does freedom and personal choice still count for anything in Marin? Telfords is urging the Board of Supervisors to address our concerns as a small business that is indiscriminately harmed by this ordinance. We asked what Glenn Loop, a leader in our trade group, has suggested, that the representatives of the board, including those from Marin Health, agree to form a study committee to evaluate the development of a specialty tobacco license that would recognize that there are enterprises and products which do not cater to a mass market vape, Juul, e-cig categories, and these businesses, such as Telfords, should be able to operate in a lawful and compliant manner. This model has been used in other jurisdictions across the country. It presents platforms of fairness to existing local small businesses. Even the most vehement anti-tobacco groups recognize that pipe tobaccos, as sold by Telfords, deserve separate treatment and to be grandfathered in as a destination where, as an adult specialty tobacconist, where you have over 60% of retail sales in tobacco. Please save Telfords, as our rent is prohibitively high, and without the sale of 20% of our revenue and no other profit centers to make this up this gap, we feel that Telfords will no longer exist. And that's demonstrated in yesterday's IJ in this cartoon. It says, yuck, what flavor is this? Bankruptcy is the answer. Thanks.
Good morning. My name is Laurie Bremner. I'm with the American Cancer Society Cancer Action Network. We're the advocacy affiliate of the American Cancer Society. I want to thank the Board of Supervisors for last week's unanimous vote to move this ordinance forward. As the very first speaker said, the young woman, She shared that youth are attracted to and addicted by flavors, not just the delivery method. Youth use chew, they use little cigars, they use snus, and they use loose tobacco to roll their own. Vaping is a huge problem, but all flavored tobacco must be eliminated or we'll continue to play whack-a-mole with the next new product dreamed up by the brilliant marketing departments of the companies that sell nicotine. I want to remind you that the individual experiences sometimes shared are not collective data, and they don't carry the same weight. There is a preponderance of recent studies indicating that adult smokers who use e-cigarettes are actually less likely to quit nicotine addiction. Dual use is a huge problem. There are FDA-approved cessation products, and flavored tobacco is not one of them. It's disappointing to hear adults disregard the welfare of children for their own self-interest. As we hear from the youth, they have no trouble finding an adult friend or family member to legally purchase flavored tobacco and provide them to the youth. This ordinance is in line with Marin County's top priority of creating healthy communities. ACS-CAN urges the Marin Board of Supervisors to move forward and pass this ordinance with no exemptions, with no carve-outs. Please stay strong and don't create the enforcement nightmare that's going on now in Oakland. No more study is needed. Any delay means that more Marin kids will become addicted. Please act now, and thank you.
Good morning again. Mark Dale, AOD board member, but also I'd like to bring this more to the personal level again and broaden out the conversation a little bit, because I hear exactly what's been said last time and this time, reflecting on some things that have been said. We're the healthiest county in the state for the last 8 of 9 years. One of those years, we were the healthiest county in the entire nation for under 18s, which is pretty amazing. Just wrap your head around that one. It's an excellent thing. I think what happens is that when you get in this kind of situation, you get into a question of what potential next steps ahead. I think one of the most important things to look at is that when we looked at the ordinance for the safe disposal of prescription drugs, we looked at other counties as to what they were doing. And the county that really led the charge in that effort was Alameda. And it went all the way up to the Supreme Court level. And the arguments were that the pharmaceutical industry was arguing based on commerce. Well, what really won the day was environmental health and public safety. And that's why the ordinance was ultimately allowed. Environmental health, public safety. And I think what really comes down to the bottom line here is that when you look at a county like ours, we've got the power of one, that we can take some steps to better protect our communities and our youth. And in the words of Judy Arnold last time, it's a no-brainer. It really is. And the message that hopefully will be sent by this is that we are the power of one. We're one special county, and not in our county. We've got the ability to say that and to help protect our youth. Thank you.
Good morning, supervisors. My name is John Ma. I'm the president of the San Francisco Marin Medical Society. I wanted to thank Dr. Matt Willis and all of you for supporting this effort. This is a major national movement. It's been visionary, and I think will improve the health of the public here in Marin. I have a letter from our Associate Executive Director at the Medical Society, Mr. Steve Heilig, that I'd like to share with you. Just to read one sentence in particular. Steve has served as the hospice director and caregiver and clinical ethics consultants at local hospitals, and he notes that he has far too often seen people dying of tobacco-related diseases, particularly chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, which is a very distressing and tragic way to die. Almost all of the patients who report they started smoking that he's encountered as young people wish they had never done so at all. I believe this visionary legislation personally will make the electronic cigarette industry better by removing the addictive flavors. Smokers will actually quit sooner with electronic cigarettes that only contain placebo or saline. This will reduce the toll on our society. I had the opportunity to speak with Jeffrey Wigand, the Brown and Williamson insider who's featured in the movies The Insider and on 60 Minutes over the weekend. He's fully supportive of this effort. He wanted me to share that most pipe tobacco sweeteners are necessary because the pipe tobacco itself is so toxic. It's so irritating to the user. He is particularly concerned because the amount that's added in the pipe each time is really poorly controlled. These flavorings, by removing them, will expose the users to the true harshness without any sweeteners that confuses their decision-making process. The smoking and the use of non-flavored tobacco products can continue, and adult choice will be preserved. I believe that removing the flavors will enable adults to make a better informed decision. Thank you for your leadership.
Hi, Erin Hinkey with the San Francisco Marin Medical Society. Simply want to say thank you for your unanimous vote last week. I hope that that will carry forward again, because this really is a public health issue that needs to be addressed, and so thank you.
Hello, my name is Fred Meyer. I'm a pharmacist representing Marin County Pharmacist Planning Services. I'd like to urge you to pass this ordinance. 50 million Americans have stopped smoking, and now we have a new generation of young kids who are becoming addicted. I'd like to present something different than what I presented before, which was a Stanford study of why these flavorings are so attractive to the young kids. These are two ads that are put out in the San Francisco Chronicle. Warning, this product contains nicotine. Nicotine is an addictive chemical. Just like heroin, nicotine is probably, as a pharmacist, one of the most addicting products we see on the marketplace. This is an ad put out by Juul, what parents need to know about Juul. And way down the bottom of this ad, it says, if you don't smoke or vape, please don't start. And this is the whole message, but it's so small you can't read it. So I've got this ad and how they're marketing to kids, and I'd like to leave this with you. And this other ad, I think it's an amazing invention. I don't know how to live without that. And again, how you live without that is when 480,000 Americans are dying a year. When the statistics we got that 1,300 people die each day, how can we really promote nicotine? And what we're giving out here, folks, is straight nicotine. In my earlier day, we had nicotine that was not so strong. With the vaping, as you know, you get concentrated nicotine, and by vaporizing this, it gets straight nicotine, which is, again, one of the most addictive things we've had. I did present the 3 Stanford studies that just came out 2 weeks ago to you, and I won't bother you with that. I'd just like to say these ads are geared for larger and younger adults, and it starts by saying, if you don't smoke, don't start. And that's all we're saying. If you don't start, please don't start. Anyway, I urge you to pass this ordinance. And again, thank you for your consideration.
Are we at morning or afternoon now? It's been a long time. My name is Mach. I'm a professor at University of California, San Francisco, and I'm a resident of Corte Madera. At the last meeting, I shared some material with you, and I wanted to share a little bit more with you. But first, I wanted to make a comment about pipe tobacco. So as I told you before, my grandfather was a pipe smoker, and that resulted in me as a child and throughout my early life being heavily exposed to the secondhand smoke produced by pipe tobacco. So the use of pipe tobacco is not just a personal choice. It often results in exposure, tobacco exposure for other people. So Jia has been working with me and with a postdoctoral scholar. These were the cigarette butts that we collected at the large high school. That I just want to remind you that smoking continues to be a serious problem. And these are the 181 Juul caps that we collected. And these are the 2 caps that we collected at College of Marin. So we know that, I want you to just understand that there's a progression going on. That we believe that Juul is a gateway to tobacco use because it's expensive. Young people get addicted to it without realizing the potential effects of it. They carry out a nicotine addiction. At some point, they realize that they can no longer afford it and that cigarettes are a more convenient and easier choice for them. So what kinds of cigarettes do they end up smoking? So this is a bottle of Septicol sore throat spray that has menthol in it. Many young children are exposed to menthol, and they know what menthol does to their throat. They've used it for lozenges when they've been sick or cold. The tobacco industry has known since 1955 that menthol is a critical flavoring for gateway access to tobacco products. So what's the proof of that? These are the latest Camel, go ahead and take that, called Camel Crush. They have a small capsule that releases menthol in them. These are menthol cigarettes that we found at one high school here. We've been to 7 schools. Whole variety of menthol cigarettes. That's menthol cigarettes we found in another school. These are menthol, and the green caps that I showed you that are mint, which is a menthol-based flavor from Juul. This is Skoal. Skoal is, this is an apple flavor. There's a menthol Skoal flavor as well. This is from another high school. This is Copenhagen, which is a flavored product. Chewing tobacco is commonly used, particularly among baseball players. It's also used by kids who live out in West County that grow up in a more rural lifestyle where it's associated with the rodeo. This is a long-standing tobacco industry image. So then we end up with, these are all collected at high schools here. These are aromatic cigars. One is sweet flavored aroma. The other is honeyberry flavored. Okay, these are all things that we're finding on campuses. And then we get into Swisher Sweets. Swisher Sweets become a gateway because they're a sweet cigar, and they also turn into what's called a blunt. So kids strip out some of the tobacco and pack marijuana into them and smoke them. So then where does it go? These are vape mouthpieces that are used for vaping cannabis concentrate oil. We found these on campuses. And this is what the concentrate looks like. This is highly concentrated cannabis. It's called polyuse, meaning that tobacco...
And if you can start wrapping.
Yeah. And this is the last thing. This is pineapple jack flavored cannabis oil. This is a whole epidemic that's highly complex that involves the mix and match and combinations of all different products, and that's the progression that we're trying to fight. Thanks for your time.
Additional public speakers, welcome if you could start lining up.
Good morning, Honorable Board of Supervisors. My name is Elizabeth Emerson. I'm a volunteer for the Smoke-Free Marin Coalition. I lost my father 30 years before his life was cut short by 30 years because he was addicted to flavored pipe tobacco and cigars. The comment earlier about let's wait for the federal government, the FDA, what we have seen actually in the last 30 years in tobacco control is that the progress has been made at the local level, not the federal level, because the federal level moves very slowly unless they come to get your tax dollars, right? So one of the observations we made through the years is that the tobacco industry and the electronic smoking companies tend to offer school-based curriculum as an alternative to ordinances such as the one that you're considering. And that's really like the fox guarding the hen house. Those curricula have been studied, and they're shown to actually, they're like marketing programs because it's forbidden fruit. You have to wait till you're 21 before you can try all these products. So they're really not something that we would want in our county. The Smoke-Free Marin Coalition asked for a report from the Marin County Office of Education, one of our member agencies, on what they are doing in the schools right now to educate the youth. And there's quite a few programs. There's a tobacco use prevention education consortium that's in 7 school districts. They reach all the comprehensive and alternative high schools. They've also, in addition to TUPE coordinators, you heard from one of them earlier, they have 90 youth were trained as TUPE peer educators, and the Marin County Office of Education and County of Marin are working together to coordinate local presentations throughout the county to parents, to teachers, and to youth. There's additional presentations being given by the Coalition Connection. And the schools are doing a great job, but they can't change the store environment. However, you have that power as elected officials, and the Smoke-Free Marin Coalition wishes to thank you for your courage in moving forward to prevent youth from nicotine addiction.
Good morning, Supervisors. Pamela Granger, Vice Chair of the Smoke-Free Marin Coalition. We've been focused today a lot on how Big Tobacco needs to build their customer base, mainly by luring and addicting our young people, particularly through flavored tobacco products. But what about adults? What flavors help ensure that young people are addicted, and they also assure that we end up with old addicts? So why would we want to perpetuate tobacco addiction in any form? I wouldn't be proud that my business perpetuates addiction. Adult pipe smokers started somewhere. There are a number of things that public health no longer allows to be sold because of what we know. A couple of things that come to mind are popcorn ceilings, the asbestos, and lead in paint. So we're learning from what the youth have told us. They represent hundreds of kids, and all of them are so thankful that we're reducing the number of addicting ingredients by prohibiting flavored tobacco products. Thank you so much for your support.
Good morning. My name is Aglaya Panos. I'm a pharmacist. And listening to what people have been saying today and our students, as Mark said, this is a no-brainer. So I'm going to commend you for doing the right thing. You know what the right thing is to do, and protecting our youth, our children, our grandchildren has to be a priority, and it's always been a priority in this county. You've been a shining light. The Smoke-Free Coalition is awesome. They've been doing incredible job over the last 20 years of educating our young people, and Marin having one of the lowest number of people smoking. But now something evil has happened, and we need to stop it. So I thank you for doing the right thing.
Any other members of the public? Okay, well, thank you, everyone who came and spoke. I'm going to bring it back to the board, but first, Dr. Willis, if you have any follow-up to anything you heard, in particular, maybe you could speak to the issue that we heard about, are these products somehow better for you than straight-up cigarette nicotine?
I think we're all close to experts on this topic by now. It's been amazing to hear all the perspectives. I'll just start with a reflection that I've heard people talking about lowering the voting age to 16, and I think today's testimony and the young people that have come to talk is probably the best evidence for that, actually being something that we should think about. So the question around I think we heard from some of the retailers who sell vaping products that this is a cessation device. Actually, in the ordinance, anything that is FDA approved as a tobacco cessation device, it will be allowed to be sold. Vaping products are not cessation devices. They are not a FDA recognized product for helping people quit smoking. And that's because the evidence is simply not there. These are anecdotes that some people will endorse that has been their experience, but there's no good epidemiologic evidence that people use vaping devices to quit smoking. And in fact, and that's for adults, in fact, for young people, we know the opposite is true. Some of the speakers mentioned the fact that as young people become habituated to regular use of a nicotine-containing product, it's only a few degrees over to cigarette use from something that may have been started as vaping use. So in fact, flavored products, flavored vaping products are a gateway to flavored tobacco products, including menthol cigarettes and other tobacco products that lead to long-term harm in terms of emphysema and preventable cancers. Does that answer that question?
It does.
I have another question.
Yep.
Dr. Willis, I wondered if you could address the suggestion of a specialty tobacco license.
So tobacco retailers there is a licensure process currently in Marin County. I'm not sure what the suggestion there was in terms of, there's business codes that categorize Telfords and other tobacco-only stores as a separate category. They're called tobacco-only stores, and that the criteria are that they would have 60% of their profits are based on tobacco sales, et cetera. So that category already exists, and we could refer to that category in any form of exemption that we might choose to adopt. Our recommendation is not to offer those exemptions because we know that those are retail establishments that are actually increasing the availability of tobacco use across the community, and that there is no form of safe tobacco use for any age, at any dose, for anyone. If that makes sense.
Thank you.
Other questions?
No questions.
Okay, why don't we move to any comments that we have at this time, including any motions?
I said last time, one of my comments was that this is not draconian. And the reason is because the alternative is losing a generation. And I support this issue.
My colleague, Supervisor Arnold, is fantastically concise, and I'm not going to quite hit that high standard. I really appreciate everyone who came to speak today. You young people from middle school are fantastic. There's no way I could have gotten up and spoken at your age in public, and I really appreciate you being here. But we've heard really from a variety of speakers this week and last week, and it's been tremendously helpful. So one of the speakers today referred to talking about what level of nicotine individuals should be using, and I can't think of a worse way to have a conversation than that. I think, really what we should be having a conversation about is other things that we've heard about today. The advertising that's targeting youth and our minority communities in particular. This obviously from the youth speakers we've heard of, the advertisements we've seen about Juul is clearly a youth issue. It's also very clearly an equity issue, and it's an issue for all of us as a public health issue. I think it would come as a surprise to none of us that we live in an imperfect world. There's clearly access issues. There's online purchasing opportunities that don't assist in efforts to try to get young people to not use Juul, and for the rest of us to not use tobacco. And there may well be imperfect enforcement of the California law that limits sales to those of age 21. But as with so many things, I think we would be mistaken to have the perfect be the enemy of the good. And we heard from Telford's last week, and I think Telford's made a very strong comment about the community of customers that they've created, the stack of postcards that we saw today, and I've received some directly, fortified the strength of that community of customers and their loyalty to Telford's. It's obviously a specialty business. It's been with us for a long time, and I think a lot of what creates that community is the cigar purchases and the use. And it's because of that strength of the community of customers that I'm hopeful. The impact on 20% of the business is not something that I think we should take lightly. That's an important, significant impact on a business. I am hopeful with that community of customers who are loyal, and with creative management, that's a business that will continue to thrive in Southern Marin. But I do think that we need to put the public health issues first, the equity issues first, and the youth health issues first. And so I'll support moving forward with the ordinance.
Supervisor Rodoni.
I said earlier that this comes down to really a public health and safety issue for me, and it trumps everything else, so to speak, today. And I'd be glad to move the resolution.
Supervisor Wright.
Yeah, I echo those sentiments. This is a public health issue, and it was an urgent public health issue, and the recommendation that informs the ordinance has been developed through analysis and data, and our Health and Human Services team and our Public Health Department uses data and evidence to make recommendations to us on policy and regulation. I think anecdotally we all knew this was a problem, but when you see those Healthy Kids surveys come out and the spike in use of flavored products and vaping, it just was too much to ignore, and I wish we could have jumped on it sooner. I'm very supportive. I do think and want to learn more from you, Dr. Willis, at a later date about what we can do in the schools to actually support those kids who are already using and are going to have to come off of those nicotine, are going to need some help and support and some tools and encouragement. And I think that should be a big piece of this as well. We should match up whatever we can do in the schools and out in the broader community to help folks get off nicotine products. I think we need to be a part of that.
Thank you. I also want to really thank staff for the tremendous work that went into this, members of the public health community for bringing your expertise, and mostly members of the public who, again, took time from school or work, as the case may be, to come down, and most notably our youth. Thank you very much. The clear message we've received is that this really these products have a disproportionate impact on youth and communities of color, and represents a crisis right now. Big Tobacco is clearly doing targeted marketing strategies that in effect create a gateway to addiction. Now, today we heard much of the fact that really these products are designed for adults. Well, let's go to Exhibit A. These are two liquid vapor products I received from some public health officials. One is called Honey Bear, and one is called Choco Donuts, both kind of cartoon packaging, one with kind of a cute bear on it, the other a colorful donut. Of course, there's some barely readable fine print on the back, including actually a skull and crossbones illustration, to put it in perspective. I would submit that tobacco companies know exactly what they're doing. They're targeting youth with a vengeance with these products. We heard the fallacy again today that these products are better for you. I think there's no evidence whatsoever in any corner of public health that supports that, and in fact it is also a pernicious myth perpetuated by Big Tobacco. So I think we're doing the right thing today. It's a positive step for public health. We're joining other communities that are doing this or are in the process. We hope it will be a model for other cities and towns in Marin County. And again, we thank you for all your help in getting us to this point. So thank you. I think we have a motion. How about a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That matter carries. Thank you again, everyone.